Hello and welcome to episode 9 of my Football Manager 2016 beta save. I'm Kev and it is the last game of the season for Tottenham Hotspur. I made it through to the end. I didn't get sacked. We've kind of turned things around as well. I've got a live comment of the last game of the season coming up in a few minutes. And then once I've done that, I am just going to do a bit of a season recap at the end of the episode as well. So it might be a slightly longer episode than usual, but we're going to start things off in the normal way by having a look at how we've been getting on since the last live com match, which was the 2-1 win away to Manchester City, where we just played really well. We went down, equalised immediately, and then scored a late winner in the match. The possession thing, I'm fairly sure this is a bug now because I'm not getting anywhere near the amount of possession I would expect in any games. I'm fairly sure once we get out of the beta and the day one patch comes out that this is going to resolve itself. It might mean a tweak of tactics is needed at that point because very much seems to be counter is the FM16 beta tactic of choice, not just for me but for a lot of other YouTubers that I'm watching as well. It seems to be what we're all kind of resorting to. Is it seems to be the only way to get results in the beta. Obviously, if you found a winning tactic that doesn't involve a counter-attacking strategy, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. But it's certainly the only way I've found any success with this Tottenham team. We went on a really good run of results from then. Actually, I picked up the Manager of the Month award again in April. After from that Man City game onwards, we won the next 3 matches as well. The curse of the Manager of the Month struck again away to Arsenal. We'll get to that in a little while, but if we just quickly look at these games, Liverpool, at the time of this match, had 3 games in hand on us. We're about 6 points behind in 6th place, but we're going well and looked like this was going to be our big challenge for 5th place, and we kind of finished off their chances of 5th place in this match. We took the lead, they equalised fairly quickly, but then Mertens again for the 2nd game in a row, a really important winner late in the match, coming off the bench, striking late. He's been incredibly important doing that in this most recent run of results. We then went away to Aston Villa. Again, because we're mainly playing, well, we have just been playing on Saturday since we were knocked out of all the cup competitions, there's not been any need to rotate the team, so it's pretty much a full-strength team every time. Mertens, after his 2 match-winning performances off the bench, I decided to start him in this match, and he's rewarded me with 2 goals and an assist, playing in that inside-forward role that we signed him to play, and he really has been fantastic in that position in this run of results. He really is making it very clear to me that he needs to be in my plans for next season. I was a little bit worried, having spent so much money on him at the start of the year. Was I going to get the kind of return that I would be looking for? He had a bit of a slow start for us, but his current run of form very much puts him in my plans for next season. And Kevin Wimmer getting an extra goal at the end there. Villa pulled one back at the end, but we were home and dry by that point. We then were at home to Sunderland. I experimented with using a standard mentality in this match, so we abandoned the counter, went standard, still couldn't get to 50% possession, but absolutely dominated them for chances, controlled the match all the way through. Goals from Son, Eriksson and Chadley. And yeah, we just never looked like losing. We were completely in control, and by this point, there was still an outside chance that we could get a Champions League spot because I don't think there's any way to look at what the league was like at that point. But it was a real outside chance. We were sort of 5 points behind Chelsea with 2 games to go. They had a game in hand, so I didn't bother live coming the Arsenal match, and I'm glad I didn't because we just got destroyed ridiculously going into this match. A win for Arsenal would win them the league. A win for us would give us a chance to get into the Champions League. But a defeat didn't really make much difference. We were still going to finish 5th place either way. And Arsenal were just massively up for it. They had the game wrapped up comfortably before the first half was out. We never looked like equalising, never looked like getting back into the game. And I can just picture the scenes now of Arsenal being presented with the Premier League trophy at the end of the match on the pitch at the Emirates. I imagine they would have locked the doors to not let the Tottenham fans leave. Make me watch from the touchline, but yeah, they were probably fairly pleased with that, and I hope it's not hit the players too hard because we have got one more game to go. It's at home to Norwich. Norwich are already relegated, so they don't really have anything to play for. We need a draw to guarantee 5th place. Liverpool are 3 points behind us, but have a far superior goal difference. So as long as we don't lose, we're getting 5th place. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't make too much difference whether we get 5th or 6th. We're in the Europa League either way. It will make a slight difference to prize money, I assume. And also, it'd be quite nice to finish in 5th to say we were one better than our pre-season media prediction. So our media prediction was 6th, Liverpool's was 5th. So finishing this way around means we had a good season and they were a little bit disappointing. You can see as well, if we look on the Premier League form, it's going to be affected slightly by the fact that Arsenal beat us in the last game. But how do we look on the form table? I was looking at this before and I can't remember how we get back to it. I want the full league table. Where does the full league table live? Well, I can't find the full league table. You're probably screaming at your TV, and I'm not going to sit here looking at it for any longer than this. I'm sure I'll figure it out. But bottom line, we were top of the form table. We're probably not now, but I was pretty happy with that. If we'd have only started the season as well as we've played the second half of it, Champions League football would have been a distinct possibility. There you go. We should be able to do it from here. So, yeah, we've dropped down a little bit because Arsenal beat us in the last match, but still third place on form over the last 5 games. I would like to think we should be challenging for a Champions League spot next season if we can make the right additions to the squad. One other piece of news before we get into the match. Harry Kane has asked me for a transfer, and I've said you can go if we get it for the right price. He's very happy with that response. I've set the asking price at £55 million. It's Man City and Man United who are going to be chasing him. I'm not sure if we do get that, that's ridiculous. Realistically, I'm probably going to accept anything £40 million and up. And I think the player that I've identified as a potential replacement, if we go to my shortlist, is Romelu Lukaku from Everton. Although if he's got himself long-term injury, no, he's just got a damaged kneecap. I know he's still a big guy, similar sort of physicality to Harry Kane, but he's a little bit quicker. He's going to be available for the sort of money I would expect to get for Kane. But the key thing is with Lukaku is he is also able to play advance forward as well as target man, much more of a complete striker, a little bit quicker, a little bit more agile. I would be very happy with this man being our striker next season. So if we can get Kane out for good money early, and then bring Lukaku in for that kind of price range, very, very happy. The other option we've identified, I'm less keen on because he is more of a Harry Kane type of player. But it's an option if, assuming Kane does go, Christian Benteke is on the transfer list at Liverpool and would be available for £7.5 million. Now, if Kane does go, I'm tempted to bring Benteke in alongside whoever else I bring in. For example, if we could get 50 million for Kane, and then bring in Benteke and Lukaku with the money, I think that's going to leave us with much more options going forward than we'd have with just Harry Kane. So I'd like to get rid of Kane early, so I've got the money to bring in those 2 players, and then there's a couple of other people I've got my eye on as well. But they're the 2 big targets for the summer at the moment, and I just need to make sure that we are in a position to move on them, especially Benteke, because there's a lot of clubs chasing him because he's available so cheaply. And Lukaku as well, a lot of big clubs are going to be looking at him, so it might be that we're not able to compete with them for his signature, but we shall have to see how things turn out. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to do a transfer window recap in tomorrow's episode. But for today, I'm going to get into this match against Norwich. Hopefully, we're going to get at least the draw that we need. We're still playing a full-strength team. If we'd have already guaranteed that fifth place spot, I probably would have played some of the younger players, just blood a few youngsters. But as it is, we're going to play full strength. It's probably Harry Kane's last game, so it'd be nice for him to get a goal. We're going a standard mentality, like we did against Sunderland, to try and score a few goals. Hopefully set some stuff up for Kane so that he can have a nice winning departure from Tottenham. Yeah, we've looked good in training. It adds a little more incentive, I guess. Let's go and win this match. And then once we've done this, regardless of the result, I'm going to close out the episode by just having a bit of a review of the season, seeing how things have ended up for everybody. Look at who were our better players, who I might be looking to move on. I've already spoken about Kane, obviously, but there are a few other shufflings of the pack that I've got in mind. And then we'll pick things up next episode with a review of the transfer window. So it's been a pretty quiet start to this match, as usual, we're on a standard mentality, but possession-wise, we're nowhere near Norwich. Even though they've only had one shot, they dominate us for possession. It's getting to the point now where I don't really see the point in mentioning it anymore, because no matter what I do, no matter how I line up, and I have been experimenting with a non-YouTube save that I've been playing around with. I've got a lower league one and one with another big club, just basically experimenting with the tactics a little bit, trying to see if there is any way for me to win, to get a decent amount of possession. No matter what I try, nothing's happening. So I'm certain that that's a bug and it's going to be resolved. And there's quite a lot of discussion about that on the Sports Interactive forums. So I know it's something they're going to be aware of and should be dealt with, ready for the patch that will come out on Friday the 13th. We are going to go through this whole half without getting a highlight. This really is looking like an end of season game when neither team have anything to play for. Norwich are already down. We know we don't even need to win to get 5th place. We can't get 4th anymore. Nobody seems that interested. You'd think Harry Kane would be up for it. He knows he's leaving. The rest of the team know he's leaving. We should be trying to give the man a send-off. He has been a fantastic player for the club, and probably with a different manager, he'd be a player who'd stick around for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and they'd build a team around him. It just so happens I don't want to build a team that plays in a way that's going to suit Harry Kane. So I'm going to move him on and cash in while the money's good, hopefully. All this talk and no one will meet my asking price now, and he'll end up still being here next season. Hopefully with Benteke in the squad as well, if I can get him for less than 10 million, which my scouts suggest I should be able to. He'll be an excellent backup striker for us to have. And then we'll have to revert to plan B, which is going to be try and get Harry Kane playing more as a complete forward than a target man. We tried it earlier in the season and he didn't really like it. We had a bit of a moan from him, and the coaches called me to one side, had a little word in my ear. He should really be playing as a target man, and that's when the goals started to come. But it just doesn't suit the rest of the team. He started scoring goals as we started losing games. So it might be that I sacrifice his goals a little bit to maintain a winning side, and if that means he loses his place in the side, if no one's going to spend big money on him, then so be it. He's only really valuable to us if someone's going to come in and give us a lot of money now when we need it. Right, let's have Chadley on for Son. This really has been a completely uneventful game. I'm making a couple of substitutions. There's nothing really, anything of note going on. I'm on autopilot here. I've not really had to do any kind of commentary. Let's make our last change. Should we? I think we should probably bring Harry Kane off, let him have a... In fact, so we're going to leave it 5 minutes. We'll give him a chance to get a goal, and then I'm going to bring Eric Lamela on, who's been out since the turn of the year. Bring him back on just to let everyone know he's still alive, and give Harry Kane his standing ovation to say goodbye, clapping all corners of the stadium. You know the drill. So let's bring Lamela on. We haven't really got anyone to go up front. I'll stick Mertens up front. It's not what I would normally do. But I just wanted to bring Lamela on to show everyone he's still alive. So let's make that change. Clap, clap, clap for Kane, etc. He's had his tearful goodbye. Norwich are now going to score and we're going to finish 6th. Brilliant. Oh, it's like it was scripted. There you go. We've dropped down to 6th. We've now not got a striker on the pitch. Oh, why do I bother? I've got too much of an emotional attachment to these players who aren't real. The match engine thought, what? He just made a bad decision. Let's punish him by having him concede a goal. It wasn't a bad decision. I was letting a player say goodbye. Go on. We've got an equaliser. Fantastic. That'll move us back up to 5th. I'm going to switch us on to counter now, just because I don't want to risk another goal going in. It's been such an uneventful match. It would be a shame to lose it after I've tried to just do a nice thing that doesn't really count for anything because it's only a computer game. Yeah, right. Is this it? Are we going to steal a winner? Are Norwich going to steal a winner? Come on, we've got a lot of men forward for a team that's playing on a counter-attacking mentality now. Right, let's not let them have the ball. Let's just take it away from them. They've been relegated. Why are they allowed to have our ball? Someone, Bentaleb, just make that tackle. Get in there. There we go. That'll do. A 1-1. final game of the season. Norwich show themselves to be no pushovers despite being relegated. We have secured our 5th place finish and Europa League football for next season. Southampton look like they've had a last day of the season escape, so it's actually Aston Villa who have gone down. That's good news for us because they were one of the other teams who were interested in Benteke. They're not going to be able to afford to buy him now they've dropped down to the Championship. He's not going to want to go there. So hopefully that leaves the door open for us to go in and swoop for him just as soon as we're given a transfer budget. I don't know if we're given a transfer budget yet. No, we can see Villa have sacked Ronald de Boer. I guess we'll get our transfer budget in a couple of days' time, maybe. I have just signed a new 2-year contract at Spurs. They offered it to me the day before the Arsenal game. So I'm going to be sticking around for at least another season. And let's have a look and do a little bit of review of the season, look at our squad. So if we hit our home screen, one of the nice new features in Football Manager 16 is that it does give you this little recap of the player stats. So we can see on here, our top goal scorer in the league was Harry Kane. Now, 21 goals looks good. At Christmas, that was 20. He's only scored 1 goal in the league for us since December. So if we perhaps 50 million or 55 million is going to be a bit ambitious, but it's purely because we've not been playing to his strengths. We found a system that worked that he wasn't really a part of, and if it hadn't have been for the fact that I wanted to keep his value high and sell him on, I probably wouldn't have even have been playing him. But that's our top goal scorer. Christian Eriksen has been superb. All season long, he's deserved to get our highest rating. He's also got the most assists. Best pass completion goes to Clinton and G. It's a little misleading as he hasn't played that many games. And Christian Eriksen's also picked up the most man of the match award. So a fairly obvious choice for player of the season. If we just go in to look at the squad in a little more detail, so you can see Hugo Lloris has played more games than anyone else. And then we've got, the usual suspects have all played quite a few games. Top goal scorers, we've got Kane on 21, Son on 17 from fewer games, and over half of those games have been out on the wing, so a 17 goal return is fantastic. I know a lot of those were in that little blue patch he had in the cup. He got 5 goals in 2 games in the FA Cup, 4 goals in 2 games in the Capital One Cup, and only 6 goals in 20 Premier League games. But as I say, most of those Premier League games would have been out on the wing. He was only really playing centre forward for us for about a month, so it's still a really good goal return. Mertens as well, 13 goals in 30 games is a good return, and Chadley 13 goals in 35 is a good return. Most impressive of all though, and certainly someone who I don't want to push too far down the pecking order for next year because he's still young and showing a lot of promise, Clinton and G, 9 goals in 9 games. He's only 22 years old. His Premier League record was 5 goals in 4 starts. And this guy, although he's not reckoned to be a particularly good Premier League striker, he could become one. At the moment, he'd be a leading Championship player. I need to have this guy as my 3rd choice striker for next season. He needs to be on the bench each week, and I need to try and get him some game time. Either that or get him out on loan to a Premier League club in the lower half of the table to get him some games. But certainly bags of potential there, as that goal return from where he is in his first season in English football, he looks like a really good option for the next couple of seasons. If we look at average ratings quickly as well, you can see Eriksen comfortably player of the season. Eric Lamela was doing very well until he got injured. I'd like to think if he'd have stayed fit during our good run of form after the turn of the year, he would have been right up there with Eriksen. The thing to remember about Lamela is he was averaging a 7.37 in a team that were down in the bottom half of the table for most of the time that he was fit for. So he was a star man in a pretty poor team. Kyle Walker, after starting the season as 3rd choice right back, but behind Deer and Kieran Trippier, has come good, established himself as 1st choice again at the club, and then finished up with a really good average rating. Danny Rose has just been excellent all year at left back. He was injured for quite a long time. He's only played 24 games. He was out for 4 months with, was it a torn hamstring that Danny Rose had? Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure that was the injury that he had. Torn hamstring. He was only out for 3 months in the end. Must have some good natural fitness because the initial message said 4 to 5 months, but he came back early and was just as good after as he was before. Harry Kane, 21 goals in 35 games. We've already spoken about him. Clinton and G, Son, and we've pretty much talked about all of these. As you can see, as per usual, central midfielders just didn't really perform. Alex Witzel, most disappointing player of the season. We spent quite a lot of money on him in the summer. He was an £8.75 million signing. He spent all season playing his preferred deep line playmaker role. And he's played 27 games, 3 goals, 1 assist, and an average rating of only 6.69. That is really disappointing. Bentaleb, not much better. Dembele, Mason, where's he? None of them particularly impressive. One thing we have got going for us for next season with the central midfielders is that Dele Alli and Tom Carroll will both be back at the club from season-long loans. Ali has been out at Middlesbrough all season in the Championship. Again, hasn't been fantastic on his average rating, but has 7 goals and 6 assists and will offer us more of a goal-scoring threat from that midfield spot. So he's definitely going to become part of our first team squad for next season. Tom Carroll has been out on loan at West Brom, so he's had another full season of Premier League football under his belt, and again done quite well. It's interesting to see that even central midfielders away from our club are averaging quite low. So it just seems to perhaps be a position that in this version of FM, central midfielders don't rate very highly. They tend not to get as many assists or goals, and they're not making goal line clearances or huge amounts of tackles. So whatever algorithm's going into generating the average rating, they're probably not scoring very much on it, but can still be making a good contribution to the game. One of my other really disappointing players, this guy, Toby Alderweireld, we spent the first half of the season desperate for him to come back to fitness so that he could come into our defence and rescue us. He did get back to fitness, but never really established himself. He only played 9 games in the Premier League, and he was fit for most of the second half of the season. You can see he was back to fitness from December. He's injured his shoulder 10 days ago, but he spent 5 months fully fit, never establishing himself in the team. He's 27 years old and we're paying him £80,000 a week. If anyone wants to come in and take him away from us this summer, I'll happily let him go. Equally, Alex is on the transfer list. Ganso I'm probably going to let go as well if anyone will pay us for him. Napoli offered 10 million just a month ago, so I'm hoping we can get rid of Ganso. And then just try and freshen things up a bit. We've got Carroll and Ali coming into the midfield. I've already mentioned I'd like Lukaku and Benteke to come in up front. We need another defender probably, especially if we're letting Alderweireld go. I haven't identified one as yet. A lot's going to depend on the transfer budget that I'm given that I'm still not aware of, and who we can sell and how much for. But I've got scouts out actively looking, so we shall see. But that is your lot for this season. That's been my first season on the Football Manager 2016 beta with Tottenham. It's been a fairly good season overall. If we look at our competitions page, I would think if you offered that to a Tottenham fan today, they would probably consider that to be quite a good season. We finished 5th. We were above board expectation. We've consistently improved our league position all year long. We've qualified back for the Europa League again. We were disappointed to be knocked out in the first round of the Europa League, but we still went further than the board were expecting us to. They were only looking for a group stage finish, so they're happy. I wasn't, but I'm not going to argue. We made it to the 5th round of the FA Cup. The board wanted 6th, so we shouldn't have lost to Norwich, but as we showed in that live com game we've just had, Norwich perhaps been a bit of a bogey team for us, who we won't have to worry about next year because they've been relegated. And then probably most disappointing game of the season was the Capital One Cup final. We lost to Manchester City. We've beaten them twice in the league this year, and that I'm going to hold my hands up and say that is all my fault. We went into that with a defensive mentality we shouldn't have done, and we just let them have the ball and beat us. We rolled over and had our bellies tickled, and they just punished us for it. And bit of a regret on that one, but we shall come back bigger and stronger next season. If you've liked the video, if you've liked this season, please pop a like on the episode. It makes a massive difference. Go back and like episode 1 as well. Get more people watching this series. If you've made it this far into this series and haven't liked episode 1 yet, you would be doing me a massive favour to go back and put a like on episode 1, because it makes it more searchable, more people will find it, and more people will get through and enjoy that first season of Tottenham Hotspur in Football Manager 16. And let me know in the comments how you thought I got on. Would you have been happy with a 5th place finish? What would your goals be for next year? Do you agree with the players I'm looking to sell and the players I'm looking to bring in? Would really like to get a conversation going in the comments where you basically tear me to shreds for more bad decisions. Thanks very much for watching.